as there were in fact 0 flying cows in the new Twisters. Stay tuned to find out if I take off points for it. Welcome back, and once again, thank you for trusting me with your full spoiler movie reviews. That thing I do where I watch movies and I tell you all about them. Usually early, but I'm on vacation. As always, I am unpaid and unsponsored. And spoilers, 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 all the spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, go ahead and scroll. I won't be offended. Spoilers, spoilers. Okay, here we go. Okay, so by now I am very late to the party, I understand. But well worth the wait. 1, because it's a good-ass movie, and number 2, I got to see it with my mommy and my sister. 2 people I would fight a whole tornado for. Which is saying something because it's my 3rd biggest fear. But anyways, what's the new Twisters about? So what you need to know before we even get started. Twisters is a film that takes place in the same universe as the 1996 film Twister. Now, as per the film creators, it is not a sequel. Outside of the fact it takes place in the same universe as Twister, it doesn't really have anything to do with the first one. So they say. It's not a sequel. It's not a remake. It is not a remake. Not a remake. If you're worried about it being a remake, it's not. I will, however, solidly fight against the idea that it's not a sequel, and I'll explain why as we go. So that's what you need to know first. So officially, what's it about? So we have Kate, who 5 years ago was a tornado chaser. She was running some scientific research and trying to figure out how to basically kill a tornado, how to collapse it to stop it in its tracks. She was on a team of about 5 people. They were using the Dorothy sensors that were in the back of the truck, and my guess is by this point, because they look like the ones that they built with the soda cans at the end of the movie, that this is more of a widely obtainable, maybe commercial use product. And some aerogel stuff that's supposed to absorb all of the humidity in the air and collapse the tornado. But the Dorothy is super important to my argument as to why this would be a sequel. Because here's the thing, a sequel doesn't necessarily have to follow characters. It has to be in the same timeline, and it has to canonically fit with the predecessor movie. So my thoughts being is we didn't follow the characters into the next movie, we followed the science. We're watching the evolution of tornadic science / meteorology. In the first movie, we're just trying to figure out how to track the tornado. In this movie, we have learned to track it at this point. We have everything we need to track said tornado. Now we're trying to stop them. Wrangle them, tame them, collapse them, whatever they want to use. Well, anyway, so they take all this stuff and they go out into the field to do this experiment. Basically, they want to leave the aerogel and the sensors for an F1 tornado to suck it up so that they can test to see if it works. Well, that F1 picked up a whole lot of shit very quickly and became an F5, and they got caught in the middle of it, and everybody except 2 of them died. And it really fucked up Kate, so she didn't want to chase tornadoes anymore, so she took a job with some sort of weather station in New York City. Well, the other guy that didn't die started this company that analyzes tornadoes and shit for companies so they can find out, I guess, insurance or whatever. But come to find out, it's actually a bad guy who goes and buys up a bunch of property from people who've been devastated by tornadoes and have lost all their homes. A predatory buyer, I guess, if you will. But she didn't know it at the time. They want to use this fancy military sensor to track the tornado from 3-dimensional angles. But they need her for a week because apparently she has some sort of magic, sensory abilities to know exactly when a tornado comes. Which, to give her a heightened instinct is okay, but I feel like at this point they made it like a magic ability kind of thing. Does that make sense? I feel like it's a lot overused, so now we're stuck with this whole chosen one, even though we're in the middle of a science film. We relied on that too much, I think. Anyways, apparently they needed her for that. And I guess tornado chasing has become really big, so now there's all these people trying to do it themselves. But when this one particular guy does it on the YouTube with his whole team, and they do dumb shit with tornadoes. They drove into a tornado, latched themselves down to shoot fireworks into the tornado just to see if they could. Which that is some yee shit. But also I can name off 10 people I know right now that would absolutely try to shoot fireworks into a tornado. And yes, they are relatives. But we're not Midwest people, we're coastal people, which means we would try to shoot the hurricane away. So that's a whole different conversation. But anyway, it's her team and Glenn Powell's team that are going back and forth trying to see these tornadoes and shit. And they're trying to decide whose pee-pee is bigger. Well, then they try to get along and they go to the rodeo. And a big-ass tornado hits in front of nowhere and they have to hide in a pool with some people. So that's the near-death experience. That's when she finds out the company she was chasing for was one of those predatory buyers. And she got upset and she ran away to go to her mom's house. And come to find out, her mom doesn't throw anything away, so her big science project about breaking up a tornado was still in the barn. And Glen Powell followed her all the way there because he's beautiful and he's sensitive. And he sees the science and he thinks they can do it. But also, he has all the equipment to do it, so they build it on a bigger scale. And then everything's ready to go. They're planning on doing it again, but the tornado got bigger, and it's definitely like a solid 5. And there's like this nearby town, and they're trying to get everybody the hell out of there to get them safe. But like, this town is not built to withstand a category 5, which is weird because you're in the middle of Oklahoma, which somebody has already said on here that can't be Oklahoma because there's not enough people standing outside watching said tornado. But anyways, apparently this town is not built to withstand an F5 that's coming right at them. So Kate steals Glen Powell's truck and drives it in there and releases everything, and ta-da! It works. That little squishy shit inside diapers apparently will collapse an entire F5 tornado with some finagling of the system. Science is hard. And that's pretty much it. That's the end of the movie. Now, did I like it? Yes, I do, very much. But not without a few concerns. Number 1, no flying cows. But we did get a chicken. Which, like, chickens can fly, so that's not near as good as flying cows. Number 2 was her uncanny ability to predict and or find the best tornadoes. I'm not saying that people can't do that. I'm just saying they relied way too much on it, and it was giving "you're the chosen one" Harry feels. Number 3 is kind of a personal beef with this as opposed to like a whole actual beef. But for the whole soundtrack they were touting before the movie even hit theaters, I feel like we didn't get a whole lot of it. There was like 1 or 2 songs we mostly got, but it was like little snippets here and there. And I was like, eh. But again, I consider that personal because the original Twister soundtrack is my favorite film album of all time. Because, you know, the original Twister soundtrack had Van Halen, Goo Goo Dolls, Eric Clapton, and others. The thing is, a lot of people blame the song Humans Being by Van Halen on the Twister soundtrack for being the reason that Van Halen broke up. Or something to the effect of that's why David Lee Roth left and why we got Sammy Hagar. Because David Lee Roth wanted to stay in the rock, and then Sammy Hagar wanted to try like this electronic shit, which is how we got, I think, Jump in Panama. I could have that wrong though. But whatever, I like the soundtrack. Now the score for Twisters, the new one, is so fucking good. Like, I can't just hear it. I have to shove it up my ass. And then finally, I have one general, I guess, actual complaint, and I think people are going to be really mad at me for it, but it is what it is. I did not like Daisy Edgar Jones at all, even a little bit. Which, come to find out, isn't the first time I said this, because I didn't like Where the Crawdads Sing either. Firstly, because she's supposed to have like this really oaky twang, that very North Texas oaky accent, but it comes and goes. Like, she'll remember it for about 30 seconds every 20 minutes in this movie. And number 2 is where y'all are going to get mad. She acts exactly like Kristen Stewart in Twilight. That raspy breath, monotone, staring off into the distance, biting your lip. You're happy, but for some odd reason, you can't show it for whatever reason. And I'm not picking on her. This seems to be like an uptrend. She does it. I think Sydney Sweeney kind of does it. Dakota Johnson definitely does it. But that seems to be the desired trait now. It's a lot of lip biting, inability to speak a full sentence, and barrel curls. Except she doesn't have barrel curls in this, but you get my point. My point being in all that is we either strive for better acting, or everybody needs to apologize for Kristen Stewart for starting the damn trend. Overall, I'm taking off points because I didn't like Daisy Edgar Jones, and there were no flying cows. And while I would take off for the lack of Van Halen, the score was fantastic. So that gets a pass. Overall, 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 out of 10. Okay, bye. I mistreat you, girl. Show me no harm. Another cow. I think that was the same one.